And we're all. Hey, welcome back everyone. Thank you so much for the commentary so far. It's been really good reception, good feedback, and great questions in the comments. One of the comments from one of the viewers, I might butcher your name, I'm really sorry, I think it's Waibavi. She was asking, how would you make a specific repeater card, let's say, to display unique information, if I understand it correctly. If you watched my previous video, you know that I set up the repeater cards one template, and then I updated the information, and it's basically there for every single card, you know, with just some distinction between, let's say, the name, the description perhaps, like what sort of price it has, all those different bits. However, it doesn't have the unique information to each of the cards. As you can see, every one of them now replicates the existing, apart from changing the imagery. But my point is that, let's say, if you would now want to add a link to different pages in one of the things, or you would want to, for example, go ahead and display like a tooltip or more information for each of the cards, and you would want to display a unique information, it might be a bit trickier, because all we are doing at the moment is just reusing that template with that field, so we would need to define more values in order to do so. But I think your question is quite technical of how to actually achieve this and how to display, you know, contextual information for each of the cards. So let's go ahead and do so, and I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to do so. I think we could start with linking to other pages, because one of the use cases which is gonna come out at some point is how do you, let's say, now link these buttons to totally different pages. Like, it's really easy to just go ahead and say on click of view more button, like so, on click, open link, and let's say product page. But now the issue is that every single button is gonna take the same link, and even if I don't click on first but on second, it's gonna open the same product page I have, as you can see as a demo. So how would you link to, let's say, a different product page? If I would add, let's say, a copy of it and name it, let's say, product page 2, so each product, let's say, has a page, right, if you use repeaters. So that's gonna be an interesting bit. On the repeater, let's just take two examples and two cards for the sake of simplicity. I'm gonna go to style and our dataset table, and I'm gonna add a column and maybe just say link, or like maybe destination or something like that, so I know. So, you know, everything which is unique to each of the cards, define it in the dataset table, and that's where basically you would start. And here you can basically right click it, select reference page, and select one of the pages. So let's say first one could be the product page 1, second one could be product page 2, and that's halfway already what we want to achieve with clicking that button, but it's not full journey yet. And let me just show you that. Okay, now two of the items are going to link to two different things, but how you actually make a link is a bit more tricky. So you would go to the actual card, which is the template, you would select the button and the interactions pane. As you can see, I already have on click open link, and product page 1, I'm just gonna check link to external URL, because even if I would select page 2, now every card would link to page 2, so we don't want that. So I would select link to external URL, and here click on function, because function allows us to customize the source. So I can just delete that and click insert variable in function and select destination and click OK. And now every time you would click, let's say, on different cards, it would open different pages, as long as you define it in the data sets. So let's say here an example, it's a card 1, it should open product page 1, and if I go back and select card 2, it opens page 2. And that's how you make a distinct, unique division between different cards and open different things. And an idea behind, you know, custom content is exactly the same, basically. So you would go to the repeater, and if, let's say, for the sake of example, I just want to, let's say, on a click of view more, which I think is going to cover your case, show a bit more content around it, or maybe pop up a tooltip, or maybe do something unique about it, like show unique textual value or even an image. Why not, you know? So we can maybe pop something up, and I'll show you how to show a unique message or unique content. So I'm gonna go ahead and find the template which existed from before, and I'm just gonna say, you know, let's just make like a really simple pop-up or something like that. It's up to you how you want to define. You could have a dynamic panel of sorts. So let's say in this case I might have as well something along those lines. So maybe it's a dynamic panel which just pops up above, like so. And maybe it even has a tiny arrow down below. I just want to make it like really quick and you know, without going too much into detail. And here I'm just gonna maybe add a text field or something else which we want to add a unique message into it. And I'm just gonna close it. As you can see, it's visible at all times. So what we can do is just give it a name, let's say a tooltip, and set it to hidden. And now just to show it exactly how it would look like by default before we actually change something, I would just maybe add a hotspot like so, add an interaction, let's say on mouse, enter, show, and where we have our tooltip, and it can maybe slide up, and let's say 400, and don't forget to hide it as well. So mouse out, and we are gonna hide it instantaneously like so, and boom. Now we're gonna have a basic template for us to add the unique content. But just so you know, you see, as you can see, I would mouse over on any of the items in our field, and they would show some sort of text, right? So exactly what you want to achieve on your prototype. But what I'm gonna do next is actually define unique text for each of the items. So again, add another column in your repeater and just maybe say tooltip or something along those lines, so you can add a bit of data. And here we can add, you know, as much text as you wish, but let's say I want to start with item specific, so I'm gonna say item 1, and I'm gonna add something like lorem ipsum, and then on next one item 2, so we can actually see that it's different for each of the items, right? Let's practice our Latin. I have no idea what I'm writing, to be honest, but that's okay. And just 2 for the demo. You know, you can define them for 20 of them if you have different text and you have different products you're prototyping for. Great, just do so. But just to show you how the switch would happen, you would again go to interactions and simply here, while you select the repeater, add another action and just say set text, let's say. And in the tooltip, select that text field we have, and again hit the function, delete that placeholder, and add item.tooltip. That's where our kind of like a variable of sorts is holding our tooltip text, and hit OK. Boom, that's about it. Now every time it loads, it preloads different values for each. So as you can see here, item 1, item 2. That's it. That's all you do. It's basically just define different, you know, container of how you want it to look like, and then set a value in text, or you can even change an image as well. And for that, you would basically define it again, like I defined for my tents. So just add another column and add an image for each of them. Just save an image, add it, and then load it with a statement like, let's say, such. But once you define it, it's really easy just to replace it. And Bobby, for your specific key scenario where you have icons, let's say, which should be switched from card to card, here's how you would do it. So I would just go inside that exact template in the repeater. Imagine that it's maybe different icons for each of the cards, and it's a predefined set of different items you could toggle for each of the cards. So maybe something like, let me put for this specific case, I'm gonna use noun project to drag icons, but let's say maybe water resistant or something like that. So maybe I'm just gonna drag an icon like this, and then drag few other icons. And so I have 3 icons, and now imagine that they're representative of something. I would go ahead and create a dynamic panel. And let's see if I would name our dynamic panel to something like icons. I would then go ahead and create a state for each of the cards. So let's say if the product card 1, state 1 would have to have 3 icons, and let's say state 2 for a second card would have to have maybe just the other 2 icons, and maybe state 3 for a third card, let's say, could have, you know, the mixture of it. So let's say maybe the first 2 or so, we just copy those across to state 3. So as you can see, we have a mixture of different icons. That's how you can create it. You can make like a toggle of icons. You can make them clickable if they're specific to click. You can add tooltips, you know, refer to other things, but it's as easy as that. So as long as you define the template like so, as you can see, I have 3 states. State 1, state 2, state 3. You can also name it. It's up to you. Then I can display some on different product cards. And let me show you exactly how. I would go ahead back to our repeater in the style panel in the dataset, and you would have to go again and define another column saying, let's say, icon or something like that, icons. And let's say for the first one, it's 1. For a second one, it's 2. For a third one, it's 3 maybe. Or you could have even more, you could be more descriptive. So let's say icon set 1, icon set 2. Just remember exactly what you're writing there, because you're gonna have to reuse it and refer it somewhere else. And so now the interesting bit comes into interactions. So what you can do is really just go ahead and this on item load with whatever is your statements, add a case and say something like value. As you can see, now we have a function selector, and insert variable and function. And just like before in our case, you would go ahead and select item icons, which we predefine in datasets. That's great. Click OK, and equals value. And then you need to remember what was our value, which is icon set 1, I think. So what you're stating here is we're creating a condition. If this card items icons equals icon set 1, then we are gonna add a set panel state icons and state 1. So we're creating like a condition like so. And we can also duplicate this, switch to toggle if, so that all of it is correct. I would recommend to rename the cases and just here, let's say set 2, and then set it to panel state 2 really quick, like so. So we have 2 statements, 2 switches, and then make a third one. But again, you have to then predefine for every single item like so. And the state 3, let's say, and that should do the trick if I'm correct. So I'm gonna just preview. Boom. And as you can see, each of our items has different information. It has different tooltips. As you remember, item 2, item 1, links to different pages and totally different icons. And you could make them clickable as well if you define it in your dynamic panel you defined before. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it answered all your questions and you know exactly how to manipulate content inside each of the cards. This is quite easy to do, and I think it's really worth the investment of the time to actually investigate of what you can achieve more, so experiment with it. And as per usual, leave a comment down below, like this video, share with your friends, subscribe to this channel of course, and if you have any specific queries, just let me know. I'm gonna try to cover like I did now, and I hope to see you next time.